So why here in Carroll County, 90 minutes south of Oxford? Well, according to my GPS, it's a 19-minute drive from Harrington's parents' home. 5 people were shot. One of them died here on the scene. The other died at the hospital. The power to all the buildings nearby went out and police cars started arriving. You can see right here, fire crews just got to the scene. The main part of the work is happening right behind me. And it looks like it may have spread to a neighboring unit. They're looking for 3 men in a black sedan. They say they're not sure on the make and model yet. Well, it looks like we're getting kicked out of here. One last thing before I let you go. You know, you talk about that uproar. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to make y'all work overtime. Y'all just heard from County Commissioner Brittany Thornton. We're actually going to kind of move towards the door as we talk. They are turning off the lights and sending everyone home. Bond hearing on the 21st. What do you need to do to prepare for that?
Show up.
How does having the body change things?
No comment.
We are entering hour 6 of the investigation into this mass shooting, and as you can see, the neighborhood is still locked down. The big questions tonight: will anyone be charged, and who fired those first shots?
Chaos at the College Park Apartments. An entire block was taped off. Squad cars, ambulances, fire trucks, and crime scene vans came and went all afternoon. MPD's top brass made the scene, including Chief C.J. Davis.
There was some type of disturbance inside of the residence that led to an exchange of gunfire.
Investigators say the violence all happened inside a house on College Park Drive, just next door to a daycare and tutoring facility and only steps away from the Lemoyne-Owen College campus.
Officers located 5 shooting victims on the scene.
Police say 1 person died at the scene. Another was pronounced dead at Regional 1. 3 more are still fighting for their lives. Investigators say everyone involved in the shooting has been located.
Everything right now indicates that it was contained inside of the residence.
Now, there is no word yet from Memphis police on why exactly the shooting started. It's also not clear whether any of those survivors will face charges. We'll let you know as soon as we find out.
Clearly, this is a huge development that certainly changes things.
Yeah, you know, much of the defense's case hinged on the lack of direct evidence, and prosecutors weren't able to prove exactly how Lee died. At times, the defense even questioned whether he was dead at all. This, of course, answers that question, but it opens a whole slew of other ones.
Or lack thereof, based on a lack of evidence.
That was the defense's closing statement back in December. The lack of evidence, including DNA or fibers, was a key focus during more than a week of testimony. But now there's a body.
Now this week, the mother of all evidence. I mean, how big of a deal is this?
Well, this is enormous.
Fox 13 sat down with Ron Reichschlock, a distinguished professor of law at Ole Miss. Among the topics he teaches, using evidence in court.
You know, some states you can't even go to trial if you don't have the body. So this was a difficult lift for the prosecution even to try it.
But try they did. Prosecutors used social media messages in an attempt to prove the accused killer, Timothy Harrington, had a secret sexual relationship with Lee and had him over to his apartment just before he disappeared. They say he killed Lee to avoid being exposed as gay.
We're going to get some stuff that's going to plug a couple holes we missed, and we're going to go ahead and go to trial. That's probably what the prosecution's thinking.
Reichschlock says just as important as the remains are the story they tell. He says with enough time, the state crime lab may be able to prove a cause of death or find fiber and DNA evidence. He says many assume the remains will make it easier to convict, but the evidence the crime lab finds could point away from Harrington.
The defense, on the other hand, is thinking, well, you know, it may give us this alibi, this argument, this something we didn't have. It may show that there was some other cause involved.
Well, a spokesperson for the court said today there has been no movement when it comes to setting a new trial date. We'll let you know as soon as that changes. A bunch of other students who weren't involved in that fight were exposed tonight. Those parents say they want accountability.
She was coughing, she was throwing up.
Them are kids, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and it was just too much to be pepper spraying children.
I was very frustrated, angry as well.
Furious, confused parents of hurt children.
I just couldn't breathe. It was just hurting. It was burning.
I just couldn't think. I was losing my mom.
And I started rolling on the ground to make it better, but it didn't work.
Those families told Fox 13 their children called them just after the pepper gel incident. One mother shared this video she took as she arrived at the school and found it surrounded by squad cars and fire trucks.
He was just terrified, crying like, I just got pepper sprayed. I can't see. I can't breathe.
Some opted to bring their children straight home. Others took them to the hospital.
My daughter has heart disease and she deals with asthma. Now she's at Le Bonheur trying to make sure she's okay.
They got word from the district about what happened hours later. They were told via robocall that students got in an altercation and a deputy assigned to the school used pepper gel to defuse it. They don't understand why they weren't told earlier, and they don't know how they're supposed to feel safe sending their kids back.
My daughter will not be attending 7th grade at Lorenz Middle School.
We reached out to the Shelby County Sheriff's Office about this incident. We were told that while that deputy was breaking up the fight, another student hit that deputy. The deputy was not injured, but a spokesperson says that's when they used the pepper gel to get a crowd of students that had gathered around under control. We also reached out to MSCS. We did not hear back. Daryl and Darcy, the evidence is all right here in front of me. That driver was headed up Greer towards Southern, but instead of turning onto the road, he plowed straight through the intersection. You can see those tire tracks on this berm leading up to the railroad tracks. When he hit the top here, he launched off and went airborne.
This video might look like something out of the latest Fast and Furious movie, but it happened right here in East Memphis. Instead of a Vin Diesel-style muscle car, though, this driver was behind the wheel of a Mazda.
They Dukes of Hazzard jumped over that track, nosedive, and then did another flip. I was like, what's going on?
The police report shows this diagram of the crash. The car landed just a few feet from a house. It left a huge bumper-shaped crater in the yard and brought the people who live there to the windows to look. They say they immediately called 911 and watched as the driver climbed out of the car. Video shows him running away from the scene.
If you need a safe car, I guess a Mazda's pretty good, because he walked away just fine.
Witnesses say he came back a few minutes later and brought his girlfriend, the car's owner, with him. Officers say they found him walking up Southern, and he was cited for driving without a license, failure to maintain safe lookout, and failure to maintain proper control. That driver blamed the crash on fog and was not charged with driving under the influence.
That's kind of comforting to know he wasn't at least driving drunk.
Yeah, he definitely failed to maintain control.
Witnesses say his girlfriend was inconsolable when she got to the scene and saw her car. They had this message for her.
Dump him.
Yeah.
Next to the crater the car left, you can still find a roll of toilet paper they gave the girlfriend to dry her tears and pieces of the car.
We've got like a hubcap, we've got a headlight, so if you need some parts, hit us up.
The people who live there say they're glad the car didn't hit their house, and every time they look at that crater, it'll serve as a reminder of just how dangerous Memphis roads can be.
If anybody wants to talk about Memphis drivers, I got the footage for them to show them what it's like out here. It's rough in these streets.
Officers say that driver went to St. Francis with a head injury, but that injury was not life-threatening.